Hey guys, and welcome to part 1 of our post-review discussion for Super Smash Bros. Wii U. I'm your host, Andre Siegers, and this time we're joined by Ash Paulson, a special guest, Josh Thomas from the BitBlock, to discuss everything Super Smash Bros. Wii U. And in part 1, we'll be covering the overall gameplay, 8-player Smash, and the stage lineup. So let's get started. Alright guys, so our reviews have been out there for a while now. Hell, the game's even out. It's been out there for almost as long as the reviews have. So I thought it'd be fun that we got together and had a little chat about Super Smash Bros. Wii U. Especially because I feel like I'm pretty confident we had some interesting thoughts on this game, and I think we may disagree in a few areas. So before we really dive into the nitty-gritty here, let's just start off with our overall thoughts on the game. And let's go start off with you, Josh. Give us a quick summary of your review.
I think that it is a pretty amazing game. I mean, there's nothing quite like Super Smash Bros. I think the Wii U game feels like the Smash Bros. Experience, but like amplified in every possible way. And there are only a few little areas of the game that I think disappoint, but for the most part, it's actually a pretty fantastic experience.
Like you, I kind of feel pretty much the same way. I said in a previous discussion that the 3DS version of Smash Bros. Was like regular Goku, and that the Wii U version of Smash Bros. Is like Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and that's still true. I mean, it really is the definitive new era of Smash Bros. It really is Smash Brothers taken to its fullest potential. It really does feel like that's not to say that it's perfect. There are a few things here and there that I think kind of hold it back from being truly definitive, but it's as close as we're going to get for the next 6 years, and I think it's definitely the new baseline, the new standard in terms of replacing Brawl and Melee.
Right. I don't disagree with anything you said there either. But that brings up an interesting point for me, at least, like with my review, where I talked about quite a few of the imperfect things about the game. And then I mentioned, to me, it didn't matter. Because the game is just so fun at the one thing it does really well, which is its core gameplay. Like, its core gameplay might be the strongest it's ever been, in my opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people who love Melee that would disagree with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you guys think about how the game actually plays itself? Like, in terms of, like, how it feels, and I guess, the character roster can be part of this, too. Yeah, how did you think it stacked up to past Smash Bros. Games?
It's definitive for me. It has the pretty much the best character roster I could ever hope for. I mean, it doesn't have every single last character I ever wanted, but it's really, really close. Everyone who's a GameXplain fan knows I'm a giant Mega Man fan, so they had me at Mega Man.
What?
I know, right? Plot twist. They had me at Mega Man, but not just that, not just him. Palutena, Rosalina, all these Duck Hunt, all these great newcomers joined by fantastic veterans. It's really got the best character roster I could ever have asked for. In terms of the gameplay itself, yeah, I mean, it's definitive. I was never a huge Melee fan. I kind of see Melee as incredibly exploitable and broken, and that's why people love it so much, because there's so many crazy things you can do with it.
Right.
But I don't think the actual gameplay is, that solid on purpose. And I think it's a little too fast, a little too slippery. By comparison, Brawl's a little too slow. Its roster is as unbalanced as Melee's in different ways. But I think, honestly, that the Smash Wii U and 3DS by extension, it has the most solid gameplay in the series. It's so far, its roster seems pretty well balanced. A lot of different characters have made it through tournaments so far. And in terms of the actual gameplay, it's a little faster than Brawl. It's obviously still a little slower than Melee, but it really kind of finds a comfortable middle ground, and it's a little more offensive than Brawl was. And I have a great time with it. It's just a lot of fun. And I certainly respect the fact that there are tons of diehard Melee fans out there who are going to disagree with us.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree about the whole, comparing it to Brawl and Melee. I pointed this out in the review that I did. I always kind of felt like Melee was a little bit too fast to really get a handle of, and I felt like Brawl maybe is a little bit too floaty when you're jumping around. So I think that with Smash Brothers on the Wii U, and even the 3DS game, they really found a great balance between those two, so the gameplay just kind of feels better than it's ever felt. I feel like if you're somebody who is a tournament player and you really obsess over how it feels, you're going to like it. And I also think if you're like somebody who doesn't necessarily play a lot of Smash Brothers, it's not going to be too fast or too difficult for you to get the hang of. So I really think they kind of nailed the core gameplay in the Wii U game.
Now, you know what makes the core gameplay even better, in my opinion? Actually, not necessarily better, but different, in a good way, is 8-player Smash. Because it's
interesting. You're wrong.
Ooh,
wow.
Yeah.
Let's get this discussion going now.
Right, this is where it begins, my friend.
It just started.
We're gonna sell on Smash right now by talking about Smash.
He's right, the hashtag.
All right. So how about you start us off here, Josh? Why didn't you like 8-player Smash, or what didn't you like about 8-player Smash?
Okay, so. Yeah, when I first saw it in like the Nintendo Direct when they showed it off, I was like, okay, 5-player Smash, and then they're like, and 6, and 7, and 8, and I was worried because I felt like that might be a bit much. But I went into it just completely thinking, I didn't even, like when I first played it, I remember I wasn't even like remembering that I thought it wasn't going to work. And it's such a cluster of nonsense, and you don't really have time to figure out what you're going to do against your opponent, because it's like you'll go after one person and they jump, and then you're hitting the other person, and then somebody behind you is hitting you, and then this and that is happening. And it's just like you don't know what's going on. And it only really seemed to work on gigantic stages, like the Kid Icarus stage or Kirby's stage. But stuff like Big Battlefield, it just did not work for me at all, because it's like it's just randomness.
Wow, yeah. So I can see that. I actually didn't have that much trouble with it. I mean, I think a lot of it is dependent on the stage. Although I actually found it worked pretty well for me on most stages, with the exception of frickin' Yoshi's Island, which no matter how many players you have,
I don't understand
play with.
Right? That level is just insane. No matter how many characters you have, and with 8, it is nuts. So for me, I actually thought it worked really well, both in the smaller and the larger stages. On the larger stages, it is easier to follow in a sense, because you are more spaced out, you have more room to move around, and I just love the the dynamic it added to it, where it feels like, I mean, it's changing constantly with who you're engaging, your ability to run away and engage someone else, the ability to have different factions form, for lack of a better word, where you have 3 and 2 people, like a group of 3 and group of 2, join together briefly for a 5-player match, while 3 other people are fighting elsewhere. It can definitely be chaotic, and that is part of the charm for me. I really did enjoy that. It's something too, for me at least, is you don't, it's not necessarily always 8-player Smash. You can play with 5 to 7 as well.
Right.
And also, I don't know how you were playing. I think are you primarily a time player, or are you a stock player, Josh?
I'm actually a time player.
Okay, so I wonder if that's part of it too, because something that's interesting about stock, in this case especially, is, as the battle goes on, people are going to start dropping out. And that changes the dynamic, the entire way through, as you go from 8 to 7 to 6, all the way down to 2 people left.
Right, I can see that.
And that's actually, it's actually pretty intense for me, when you, after all that battle, and you're down to just one-on-one in a stage like Palutena's Temple. I don't know, I really liked it overall. I totally can see where you're coming from. I also know you're a fan of items too, which I am as well. But I think in the case of 8-player Smash, turning them off might actually work better.
I also, maybe it's just me, because I'm simple, but I also found it really difficult to keep track of where I was. I'd go flying somewhere and I didn't realize it at first, and I'd be like, where are I? Oh, I'm over on the right side of the screen now somehow, and...
I have the same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of both of you. It does get a little chaotic, and I don't necessarily mind that, but I had a launch party this past Saturday, where we played a bunch of 8-player Smash, and I think the feeling a lot of us came away with is that it's probably a little more consistent with 5 or 6 players, but unfortunately, even with 5 or 6 players, you're limited to just a handful of the stages, about a fourth of the stages. And that really kind of killed the mode for us, actually, after a bit of time. We actually just wanted to go back to playing 4-player Smash and taking turns, mainly because the stage roster was so limited. And that wasn't something I thought was actually going to bother me, but it did, because it turns out that with 8-player Smash, there aren't actually that many stages I really wanted to play 8-player Smash on. I'm not really a big fan of the Great Cave Offensive, and I think Palutena's Temple and Hyrule Temple are great for 8-player Smash. I think they're the perfect size, but kind of like you said, Josh, Big Battlefield, Mario Galaxy, they're just small enough to where it feels a little too chaotic at times. Like I said, I like chaos, I love items, but I don't know, I do like 8-player Smash, but I think I like it in small doses, and especially with going for a long time, I did start to miss having the full roster of stages to select from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wish there were more stages in 8-player Smash. It's some of the choices are a little bit weird, and there are other stages I don't know why they're
like
not
Yoshi's.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that an 8-player stadium?
Right?
Yeah, and Skyworld. How is Skyworld? That's either 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. I'm not sure which, but it's one of them, and I don't understand how. Yeah, like it seems like the stages were picked more on
performance,
or I guess more on performance and less on size, because otherwise Yoshi's Island should not have been in there.
Yeah, I mean that's what I would guess too. Because if you play on Mario Galaxy, for instance, in 8-player Smash, they remove all the background objects that move around. So which tells me it probably is poor performance. But what I understand is, is adding like one more player like really that big of a deal? Like, do they really have to block off most of the stages by just having a 5th player in there? I'm sure they have their reasons. It just seems weird to me, right? Like, why can't I play pretty much every stage with 5 players?
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah. But for me, I actually really enjoyed this mode. It's actually what's weird is for me, like I've been playing a bunch with friends recently. And pretty much, like, among my friend group at least, 4-player Smash is our least favorite way to play this game. Like 2 and 3 players is awesome, and anything above 5 players we've really enjoyed. 4 players we just don't like that much. It's comparatively we still really like it. Don't get me wrong.
How is there a difference?
I think 4-player Smash is just like a little bit more boring. Like it often breaks down into just one-on-one. Like it's almost too predictable. Like I don't know. It's weird. It just breaks down in ways that we've seen so many times before. Whereas like one-on-one Smash is interesting because it's purely one-on-one. It's all about mind games and whatnot. And then I feel like 3-player like mixes it up enough too. And 4-player it like straddles this weird line for me. Whereas like 5 to 8 players is like still really novel, which is probably part of it. And it just makes it feel like a lot different, especially when you're playing on like some of those bigger stages too, which were basically built for 5 to 8 players. So.
Well, did you feel that way about that in Brawl and Melee as well?
4 players has usually been my least favorite way to play that game.
Okay.
So yeah, I like 3 players, great. 2 players, I also really enjoy. 4 players, I still enjoy it, but it was also, never my favorite. But I think the novelty of having 5 to 8 is great, especially because you can now finally have if you have a big party as you did, Ash, like everyone can now hop in now. Basically, and while I understand like everyone you guys wanted to see all the stages, that's probably also a function. I'm just guessing that might have been the function too of it being a brand new game and wanting to see all the stages.
Could be too.
Whereas in the future that'll be less of an issue, but I don't know.
Right. One thing I will say that I do particularly love about 8-player Smash is how accessible Nintendo has made it with the vast array of controllers you can use.
Oh, it's absurd.
Yeah, I really appreciate. Like they basically alleviated any possible need to buy a bunch more controllers.
No, with that said, you should still have 2 GameCube adapters and 8 GameCube controllers.
Yeah, but for most people who probably aren't going to, at least by themselves, without having other people bring them over, it is nice that you can use the Pro Controller, the gamepad, the 3DS, really anything.
Yeah. It's true.
So I do appreciate that.
It's weird for me. Like I actually found the 3DS controller or the 3DS as a controller worked better in Smash Bros. Wii U for me than it did in Smash Bros. 3DS.
Yeah, you mentioned that in a previous discussion, and I still agree. It's so weird.
Isn't that weird?
Wow, I've never even tried the 3DS as a controller.
It's surprising how well it works, given that it's a 3DS. I'm not saying it's great, but it's completely there's like no lag at all or anything. Like, there's no delay with it.
Well, it's probably better than using the Wii remote on its side, I would imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
That and the Wii Classic controller, the original one, is just terrible for Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah, the control sticks are terrible on that thing. So.
Yeah,
See, I use the Wii U Pro controller when I play it. And I've been pretty happy with that.
It actually works quite well. I'm still a GameCube guy, but I used the Wii U Pro Controller until I got a GameCube adapter at launch because Nintendo didn't send me one, and actually was fine. I was perfectly happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's weird. I have GameCube controllers all over the place here, but I chose to go with a new controller, I guess because I wanted it to feel like as fresh of an experience as possible.
That's interesting. That's
I think I can hear Andre's blood boiling right now.
If you were here, you could see it boiling right now.
Well, listen, Andre knows how much I adore GameCube. It's my favorite Nintendo system.
Yeah, well, that
nice.
That controller setup might actually explain one of our upcoming videos, Josh.
Shut up.
Shots fired.
All right, so as part of the 8-player Smash we just talked about, we touched on some of the stages, so maybe now's a good time to talk about the rest. I really liked the stage selection in this game. It's the biggest amount of stages we've ever had in the Smash Bros. Game, but conversely, We also have fewer brand new stages than we did in Brawl, which is a little bit disappointing to me.
Oh, do we really? Like,
we
did
do.
You count?
Yeah.
It's weird, right? And it's something. I mean, it's something I didn't like fully realize until I actually counted it, did the count. But I think it's something I subconsciously realized.
Right, same with me. I didn't realize there were more, but I always felt like it seemed like there were fewer new stages.
Yeah, it felt like I came to grips with all the new ones a little bit faster than I did in Brawl, where I think it had like 5 or 6 more stages. So, but with that said, the selection here is still really good. I like pretty much most of the returning stages, and I think overall the new selection probably is the best of any Smash Brothers game.
I definitely think that the stage roster is the strongest it has ever been. I think it's the most consistent, especially in terms of the new stages. The new stages, I think, stand up to repeated play far better than the stages in Brawl and Melee did. And I just think it's really consistent. That for me, Melee and Brawl's stages are very hit or miss. And with this one, there's pretty much not any new stage I don't enjoy playing on.
Right.
In terms of the returning stages, I do think the ratio of new to returning stages is a little iffy. I do wish there were a few new ones. And this is just a personal thing, but pretty much all of my favorite Brawl stages were cut, so none of my favorite Brawl stages returned here, like Pirate Ship, or Frigate Orphean, or Spear Pillar, which I know I'm like the only one who liked that stage, so that's okay.
you really are. But
Pirate Ship kind of speaks to a bigger complaint I have, which is there's no Wind Waker representation in the stages in this game. Like, there's only one new Zelda stage, and, 2, I guess, if you count Temple, returning Zelda stages, but there's no Wind Waker, and I just really wanted to see Pirate Ship come back, but that's personally, that's just a personal thing.
I totally agree that Pirate Ship should have come back, especially, like, as soon as I learned that the swimming mechanic came back, I'm like, well, Pirate Ship has to come back too. It's like one of the few levels that had it, and it's not here. Especially because they could have updated it to reflect, Wind Waker HD, which I think would have been awesome.
It could have looked amazing. And speaking of teases at stages we thought were going to be there but aren't, that stupid flying man being in Smash Tour made me so sure that Magicant was going to make the jump from the 3DS version to the Wii U version. And same with Mute City. And look, I mean, the whole thing Sakurai said about the 3DS version has handheld inspired stages, and the console inspired stages are going to be the Wii U version. Well, okay, Magicant and Mute City both come from console games. So why aren't they in the console version? And those are two of the best stages in the 3DS version. I'm really sad that the Wii U version only gets Onett and Port Town Aerodive, when the 3DS version got completely new Mother and F-Zero stages.
Right.
So there are some holes in the stage roster for me, but overall I think the stages themselves are incredibly strong, especially in terms of the new ones.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I definitely agree with the whole thing of there being maybe a few too many retro stages making a return, and it does feel like some of them were kind of just chosen at random. There's not a whole lot of logic in some of them that returned. But yeah, to be honest with you, I really do think, and I might take some crap for this, but I really think the 3DS...
Well, that's nothing new.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now. I really think the 3DS game, the 3DS Smash, maybe has just a little bit of a better stage selection, a little bit more creativity, a little bit more... I felt a little bit more surprised by some of the stages they came up with on the 3DS, whereas in the Wii U, I don't know that there necessarily is many stages, or are many stages that surprise me. Oh, that's not true. Gamer, I think, is really surprising. I didn't expect that.
Who would expect that?
Yeah, Gamer's definitely a highlight.
Yeah.
So maybe a few more stages on the Wii U that were like that, to where it's like nobody would have predicted it, it's such a crazy idea, and it's just really unique. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody could really make too many complaints about the stage selection in either version of Smash Brothers.
I will say that I really am a fan of how many new traveling stages there are on the Wii U version.
There are a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, they always look amazing. I've always loved traveling stages, and I mean, for me, a lot of the highlights are like Woohoo Island and Mario Circuit, the new Mario Circuit, and
to clarify that point.
Yeah, sorry, the old Mario Circuit's not a very good stage at all, but like a lot of the new stages are traveling ones. I think they look great. Pilot Wings as well, and there's just a lot of new stages that I really love to play on, and I'm really liking all the traveling ones.
I love Woohoo Island.
It's so fun.
That might be one of my favorite stages. I love how it looks. I love some of the remixes they have there. And I actually love how like the areas you land in. They all feel very different and feel unique compared to even the other stages.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you won't even see all of them in one play of the stage typically, because there's so many different places you can land in. I will say one thing I am very disappointed in stage-wise as a Mega Man fan is the fact that Wily Castle is so not fun to play on, at least in its regular form. I'm all for stage hazards, don't get me wrong. I don't like Final Destination at all. but the Yellow Devil is so intrusive, and he just ruins a match.
Yeah.
And what's made even worse by the fact that it's got so much amazing music because it's Mega Man, naturally. Right. But yeah, Yellow Devil, what were they thinking? Come on. Ridley, too. I mean, it's not quite as bad in Pyrosphere, but Ridley's not exactly fun either.
What do you guys think of this? There's a few stages that are a little confusing in the sense that they are two stages that are, they're like basically one concept being treated as two stages. So there's Battlefield and Big Battlefield. There's Town and City from Animal Crossing, and then also Smashville. And they're essentially the same thing. And then there's like Woohoo Island and Pilot Wings Resort, or Pilot Wings, and they're the same kind of thing.
So I'm all over the map on this one. Kind of a fitting way to put it, actually, given Pilot Wings. Okay, let me break this down. Pilot Wings and Woohoo Island, I'm totally fine with. I love how both of the stages look. They take advantage of this stage in different ways. And as I've said before, not that this is a big point, it is kind of cute, I think, in a way, or kind of clever, in that, Woohoo Island is known for appearing in multiple ways in multiple games. So I think portraying it in the same game in multiple ways is actually a good way to honor the idea of Woohoo Island. But I will say the Animal Crossing one's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't mind it that much. Like, it's fine, but they do seem so similar. I mean, the platform layout does change, but the idea of them are so similar and they look so similar. They should just replace, the Animal Crossing returning one with a different returning stage, probably.
Like Pirate Ship.
Right. And then we have Mario Circuit, which is weird because, I mean, there's two stages called literally the same thing. We have two Mario Circuits, and for me at least, one of them is super good, being the new one of them is super bad, being the old one. And what else? Was there one more in there, Josh?
Battlefield and Big Battlefield.
Oh, okay, that one, okay, that one I'm okay with. I don't know, that one's weird. I think the idea, I mean, Battlefield is like a neutral stage, and so I think having a bigger version of that for 8-player Smash, I'm totally fine with.
I feel like you should have just hovered over Battlefield and pressed a certain button, and it would have given you Big Battlefield.
That probably would be a better way to do it, yeah.
And plus, Big Battlefield still feels too cramped for me to be called big. I mean, there's so many platforms, and it's not actually that much bigger than Battlefield. It doesn't really feel like there's that much of a difference in actual execution. And the whole thing you said, Andre, about it feeling, or maybe that was you, Josh, about it feeling the Brawl stage selection feeling a bit kind of random. I totally feel that way with Smashville and what was the other one we were talking about? Smashville and Mario Circuit Brawl. Like, neither Smashville didn't need to return at all because it's completely superfluous. And Mario Circuit Brawl is maybe one of the worst stages in Brawl. So
you guys really hate Mario Circuit.
No, yeah, I don't like it at all. I think the music selections suck, and I just think it's not a very inspired stage, and I just never want to play on it. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's so many more interesting stages they could have brought back in some cases.
That actually might be part of the reason why the stage roster... I mean, I think that adds to the whole point of Brawl having more new stages. Because now, I mean, I forgot that, Big Battlefield counts as a stage when, I mean, it plays differently. But, I mean, it's not, it doesn't feel or look that different at all. And then the same thing, like similar thing with, Animal Crossing. It is another new stage, too. But we have essentially duplicates here, and that eats into the stage roster count of new stages at least. And I think that also might add to the feeling why Brawl felt like I had so much more to explore stage-wise than Wii U does.
Well, and also, Congo Jungle 64 is such a tease, because I'm of the mind that Smash 64 had the most consistent stage lineup until now,
without
until
question.
Smash Wii U.
Yep.
And I pretty much loved almost every stage in Smash 64, so why only bring Congo Jungle back?
Especially because it's already come back once before.
Yeah, at least bring that back to two others that also appeared in Melee.
Yeah.
Like, I don't quite understand why it's limited to just one. I'm hoping DLC will fix that, but I would love Hyrule Castle to come back so much.
That's definitely an N64 stage that stands out for me, and it's really strange. I think a lot of people like that one, so it's very strange that one wouldn't return.
It did return, guys.
Listen, yeah.
Oh, God. Are we going to bring up that mod? We're bringing up Project
Andre
Hammer.
made it in the stage.
No, I made it.
Okay.
Hey, Andre,
I
actually...
just pissed off a lot of people unnecessarily.
Andre, I've got an important question for you, actually.
Oh, no.
We're backpedaling a little bit here.
Okay, that's fine.
Because you obviously, GameXplain does not unnotice anything in a video game.
as Nick can tell you.
As Nick from the BitBlock constantly reminds me. In the Smashville stage that they brought back here in Animal Crossing on Wii U, or Smash on Wii U, if you look in the background, the Able Sisters sign is not even an English sign. It's like the Dutch or German texture.
I actually did not notice that. Wow.
Well, see, there you go. Listen, I'm taking over GameXplain.
You're commandeering this ship.
So that might say just how quickly they made the decision to throw that in here.
That's a good one, right? You're talking about the GameCube one, or sorry, I'm sorry, Brawl version.
Yeah,
of the stage?
the Brawl Smashville stage that makes a return. If you look at the sign of the Able Sisters shop in the background, it's like a Dutch or German version of the sign.
So they didn't even bother using the English one.
They didn't even change the texture.
Did not have time to swap out textures. Just get it in there. We're done.
How do you guys feel about them not really updating the way the retro stages look? Congo Jungle has 2D stuff all over the place.
Yeah,
right.
And whereas like with Hyrule Temple, they actually did go back and enhance that one. I think that one looks really good.
Yeah.
I actually think most of them actually hold up pretty well, like Island Delfino. Or Delfino Plaza. I think that still looks good.
A few of them though are a little like, whoa, why didn't they touch this?
Yeah, some of them like on it could have been cleaned up a little bit. Like, the background has a lot of 2D stuff that I wish that had been enhanced.
Very faded looking textures.
Yeah, and then what's it called? The Meta Knight stage.
Oh, Halberd?
Yeah, Halberd. I think that one actually looks pretty good overall, but like when you're flying over the water at points, like that water texture is pretty hideous.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree. Like, it would have been nice if they had gone back and cleaned up those stages like even more. Like, yeah, Congo Jungle 64, they did almost nothing to. So
I think they did literally nothing to.
Yeah.
See, that I'm actually okay with, because part of Congo Jungle 64 for me is the nostalgia of how it looked. And I think if they had completely updated it, wouldn't quite have that nostalgia factor. So, and it's only one stage, so
yeah.
That actually, I'm kind of glad they didn't really do much to that. But I do agree in terms of the Melee and Brawl stages. I do think a lot of them actually look really good. But yeah, I think they could have done a little more to some of the stages, like you said, Andre, the water texture in Halberd, Onet, the background objects. Yeah, I think there's a little more touching up could have been done to the more recent returning stages. But I'd say leave the 64 stages alone. They're kind of fun the way they are.
I like how you put 64 stages.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're Hyrule Castle. What are you talking about?
right. Sorry, my bad. although I will readily admit that stage looks horrible visually.
It does. It really does.
Is there no way to put like a castle in the background?
No. It's that's a thing. The stage builder is pretty limited. But actually more on that in a little bit here. Yeah, I wish you could put stuff in the background though. But let's we've talked a lot about like what they could add to the stages, and I feel like it doesn't fully do it justice because I really do like most of the stages overall. So I want to know, what is your guys' favorite stage or favorite stages in this game?
Jeez, how many choices do I get?
I will limit you to 2 or 3.
2 or 3, okay. Windy Hill Zone.
Okay.
Mario Galaxy.
Ooh, yeah.
And probably I'm gonna have to go with Woohoo Island.
Okay.
I'm going back and forth between that and Pilot Wings, but I really like both of those.
Any particular reason for any of those being your favorite?
Let's see. Well, Windy Hill Zone, I just love the way it looks. It's absolutely beautiful to behold. All the colors just pop, and I love pretty much every single music choice because I love Sonic music. I said Mario Galaxy, kind of the same reason. I think it's beautiful to look at. It's just big enough to where it feels really spacious and fun to fight on. It's not too cramped, and it's got great music choices. And I actually take back what I said. I'm actually going to go for my third one, Mario Circuit. The new Mario Circuit. Yeah.
Right.
Because we've never seen a stage like it in Smash before. It's incredibly dynamic. The way they use the gimmick with the track appearing at different sides of the screen, it's really smart. And yeah, I really, really kind of appreciate what they did there. Although I do wish they'd done it with a different track, so as to not, double up on Mario Circuit. I think
2 names.
Mount Wario could have been cool, or Rainbow Road, or something that's not another Mario Circuit. But still, the idea of it is it's perfect in execution, and it looks beautiful.
So I have a feeling Josh knows where you're coming from when you talk about picking stages because they're beautiful. But that's how Josh chooses characters, actually.
Okay.
That's how I choose my bikes and carts in Mario Kart. And it pays off. I always beat Andre. So
hey, I choose my mains in Smash based on how much I actually like the characters rather than how good I am with them. Then I force myself to get good with the characters I like. So I understand.
Yeah, see, I do that except for the latter part of what you just said.
You just don't bother getting good with them?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, that makes it easy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So we're picking 3 favorite stages?
However many you want. Yeah, I mean, your top favorites, yeah.
I love the Pikmin one. What is it called? Distant Planet?
Ooh, interesting.
No, Garden of Hope.
I'm still not sure how I feel about that one.
Well, I'll tell you how you should feel about it. It's amazing. The enemy crab comes by. The little Pikmin are building stuff around you.
Right.
It's pretty big. Why isn't... Wait a minute. Oh, well, probably because they couldn't pull it off. I was going to say, why isn't that an 8-player one? That's pretty big.
It is. You're right.
But that had to be a technical reason they couldn't pull that off. But yeah, I love that.
They should just drop the detail then to make it playable. Kind of like playing, you know, old school Mario Karts in 4-player split screen, right?
Yeah, yeah, like Double Dash.
Yeah.
I want us to bring up Double Dash in every discussion somehow. We just did it for this one.
I like this.
Oddly enough, I'm not a huge fan of the new Super Mario Brothers games, but I love the new Super Mario Brothers stage.
It is really good,
it's
right?
Really fun.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I love how it changes.
Yeah.
Looks very pretty. Why don't the new Super Mario Brothers games look like that, but in level form?
Well, I think part of it is like the character models like actually have a soul in this game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then the other one that I would pick definitely has to be Animal Crossing's Town and City.
Okay.
Even though it's essentially the same thing as Smashville. I mean, it really is the same thing as Smashville.
Yeah.
It's just prettier. It's a gorgeous Animal Crossing background, and spoiler alert, I kind of like Animal Crossing.
No. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of the reason I like that stage too is again, it's a background, like how you travel between the town and the city. I just love those traveling stages. Like, it really does add. It makes it look just more dynamic.
Yeah, and you know, depending on when you're playing, you get a sunset or nighttime or KK Slider.
Yep.
It just makes it feel fresh, no matter how often you play it.
Yeah, it totally does.
Oh, and what about I don't know the name of it. The new Pokemon stage is pretty amazing. I love that one.
Pokemon League is really cool. I do like that stage.
Oh, there's so much going on. That stage is crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you got like knives basically flying around. You got pillars of fire. You got like the Pikmin water from Brawl coming through every now and then. Speaking of which, I know a lot of people don't like that stage. I really wish the Pikmin stage from Brawl had returned.
It did in the 3DS game.
Oh, that's true actually, and
Yeah.
I kind of wish it'd been here in a game I'd actually play all the time. So for me, Josh, you brought up something interesting with
I often do.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily disagree in that the stage based on Mushroom or New Super Mario Brothers is really good here, and actually that's something I felt the same way about like Island Delfino. Like, I never was a Sunshine fan, but I love that stage. And that continues here in Smash Brothers with, or Smash Brothers Wii U, with Gamer, as we already touched on a little bit. I love that stage. I did not like Game & Wario at all, except for some of the multiplayer games. And maybe the exception of Gamer.
Yeah, to be fair, Gamer's like the one good part of that game, besides the multiplayer stuff.
Yeah, it actually is. And I would have never expected it to be a stage in this game. For multiple reasons. One, I don't think it sold that well. Two, it definitely wasn't critically received that well. And three, it's actually a relatively recent game. And Smash Brothers games, you know, have always kind of like lagged behind in terms of like representing recent games. And this new one's kind of nailed it between Yoshi's Woolly World, Mario Kart 8, and Gamer. And I just love Gamer. I love how they incorporate the ideas of that mode into a stage. And it's one of my favorites. I just love how that plays.
It's a great stage.
It looks so good too. Like, I love how the mom in the background, the lighting coming through. It looks awesome. And then of course, the creepy old man who opens your window just adds to how scary and frightening the stage really is.
With the Calico Cat shirt.
Oh wait, what's that?
He's got a little calico cat on his shirt.
Oh, does he? I didn't even notice that.
You're off your game.
I'm too busy winning, my friend.
Well, Gamer's especially great with the default audio track because it's not even music. It's this really creepy ambiance.
Right.
Every time the mother comes out of something, there's this really creepy, really high-pitched violin strings. It adds perfectly to the overall ambiance.
I even loved how they built upon the original game, like how there's a canvas that appears on the stage sometimes and she'll pop out of it, or they even have a 9 volts handheld in the background that you'll pop out of that too, which is really cool. So
yeah.
Yeah. So I think we covered it pretty well for the stages. All right, and that wraps up part 1 of our post-review Super Smash Bros. Wii U discussion. But stay tuned for parts 2 and 3 coming up soon, where we'll discuss a stage builder, Smash Tour, and tons more. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for more Smash Bros. Wii U and other things gaming as well.